Hello to today's video. Today we're gonna do the Alteryx challenge number 389. So the question is to do with some kind of text parsing. What we have input data in a single column. Then we aim to, among those things, we try to looking for some kind of password and security violation within the data set. So we can probably just see it's here, violation, and with some kind of security violation. That's the data. So it's purely to do with getting the data out. And because it's already in a column in the row level split, nothing combined, it's actually quite straightforward, simple task. Let's have a look at the output. The output we're looking for, yes, we're looking for user column, then the count of violations they have for each topics. A bit background. This is actually one of the questions for 2023 Alteryx Grand Prix. Preliminary questions. I think I did it once in the past. Should I did give an answer, but not 100% sure what's the best method to do. Let's see. If I now take your questions, what you're gonna get is you look at the structure of data. First thing you can see on the leftmost, you have some kind like header. The only exception is probably like on the ID. When ID, you have a space and name. Everything else is a single character, which makes life easier to pass. The rest, you have a lot of text that's come together. So we actually don't need to worry too much about how many columns to handle. We just had handle the header part one go, then the data part in the other go. We actually do quick search. For example, what we have password violation via O. So we notice we only have two rows, and that corresponding to a specific header. It's even better. So you have a very structured rows. If you don't have all different things became group in different mix up order in the rows. So this in terms of row level, column level, overall can see there is some kind of structure makes things easier to handle. Quick check, security violation. As you see, similarly, we have two rows that correspond to the statistics row. Okay, so the first step is to separate things up. Now, because we have some kind of space, the easiest way I would think is text to column. So we're going to drag in the tool. So the intention is we're going to split things by, let me click on that again, on the space. You do have different lengths of space, so sometimes you can do tab, but let's just do space, make life easier. I tried that with a 2. Turns out 3 is actually a better choice because the ID, you actually have ID space name. So if we do 3, we can see we pass out the name individually, which is make life easier. And that's all data. Column header, the field headers, it's quite nice. There's no space. Good. We have ID corresponding name, ID corresponding name. We have 3 names, so that's 3 people. But in general, you can see you can get a lot more data set. All the data, we can worry about those later. The first thing is we want to make sure your data has a unique identifier to be able to get to the most granular level you want. For us, a combination of names and header should be unique enough. To do that, we got to handle the white space here. Because we have a pattern to 3 columns, those represents a space. So empty field. To be able to fill up the missing rows, this is the multi-row formula. It's a very standard use for multi-row. So let's drag in multi-row formula. We gonna handle in column number 2. So updating existing column 2. The value for missing value depends on choice because at the moment what we have is empty, so it's probably easier to keep consistent empty. Sometimes you may have no value, then the first choice may be more relevant. We don't have anything grouped by because we try to group items up during the Slack expression. The general approach, I'll just point, say, let's look the row number 8 and the 9. Usually, when I build a multi-row, I'm looking for one of the common case in the data set, try to build the logic from that. Give it a try, see how it works. Most time it works great. If it doesn't work, usually the issue comes on the very top because when the logic to do from the first row, try to looking for the missing zeros row doesn't exist. The logic you may want to do an extra F statement to handle that. So first, we're going to see, let's say, how do you handle row number 8? So because this belongs to the previous ID, gen out, we try to pad out. So basically say, row number is missing, let's go the row above, go the row above, etc. So we should be able to trace all the way to the top. Single F statement should be able to do the job. So for example, imagine you're running on the second row, we try to handle. So you're testing. The condition here to test it is empty. Blank row, if it's empty, go upwards. So we're going to do, if the current row, 0, 0, column number 2 is empty, then go back to the above row. If it's not empty, so for example, you have something row number 9, that means you're starting with new ID. I don't need looking back, then just return what my current row value is. Let's give a run. Click on output. Yeah, we can see the names is grouped to its separate ID. That's good. This one's ID as well, with a transition on the sets of data. Yeah. If it's just the issue, usually you're looking back to the first row. So for us, we don't need to worry about that in this particular case. The next part, we try to handle the password violation. So previously we've seen it's a password and the statistics. Let's just copy those. We already have the filter, the headers out. So filter is the one to go because we're two separate string custom filter. Let's copy those. So the condition is we're looking for our column. So header column number 1. So fdexing equals password. Or number 1 equals statistics. So we should be able to see for each ID, we should have 2 or more rows. Should be 2 rows. So password statistics. So far, there you 1 row each. So 6 rows. That's what we're expecting. That's good. Now we do have our different things within the condition. So for me, that's granular enough. I usually go for formula with regex to handle the data set. So let's create a new one. So what is the first one is password. PAS double password violation. Yeah. Oh, we know what we're looking for. We're looking for password violation with some kind of brackets with a number in there. Oops, if we stretch out a bit. So a little bit here. We can, and I think there's no repeating this one, so it should be okay. So once regex replace, we're looking for column number 3. The question is about patterns. It's actually copy a few of the rows. Generally speaking, you have regex 101 is the one I would go for to test any regex when you're not sure of. Strongly recommend you to learn the basics on regex. They're handy. We can copy the things we want first. Just make sure we pass out the brackets, because brackets is a special case. It's a capture group, so we need backslash to escape the special character. Now we get 1. That's good. We're looking for any potential digits, so we'll replace 1 with B. Just in case, to be a bit more robust, with a plus, so you may have in the future, in a more generic data set, you may have 10, 12, 105. That's a lot of password violation, but so we can see it's highlighted. Okay, it's matching it is. Then you try to fill the missing stuff to make sure you capture the whole string, so match up. So me, the lazy way is all dot star. So that does the job, that's fine. The security violation, we can modify that later. So for the password, we got exactly what we want. Now, the things we're interested is the number within the bracket. So make sure you put your capture group on the correct order. So within the bracket, we capture that digits. So this highlight green is screen, so we can copy paste our pattern, replace. So we don't have usually one capture group does the job. What do we have? If you want to be precise, you can change it to integer. Now let's keep a v string because the formula you have by default it comes on string. If you integer, sometimes it give a bit of formatting issue. You can also use a select later to change it. Let's just run it to see if the formula works. Yes, that's what we want, 1 and 3. Now for other things, we don't worry about it. Because the regex you have no match, it just return whatever the string as it is. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so boolean. Let me just do step one code because we know we only want to return the 1 and the 3, nothing else. You can actually do a test condition because the regex expression already have it. You can almost copy paste the regex match. So we're already testing column 3. The regex we had capture group. Let's remove the capture group. Not a close bracket. This is P. Yes, we have correct brackets. The test logic is if you match this pattern, comma, return to me my comma, return to me the regex replace. So try to get a one as if you have the password violation, return me the number violation. Otherwise, can keep null. Yeah, just keep blank as fine as well. It's up to you. You want to keep blank or you want null value. Actually, because we're gonna get zeros in there, so let's actually return 0 as a replacement. Okay, that's my error. Yeah, the data type should be fine. We have security, SEC, UITY, violation. You can copy paste exactly as before because we know it's same format. We can just replace the text on the security SEC. Should be able to get our dates out. Let's run it. Yeah, so we have our numbers we need. That's fine. Before we filter the rows, let's just do a select. For me, I always prefer at the row level, you get whatever calculation you need adding column. Because once you have those, it's easy to do some kind of pivoting or summarize to aggregate our data. Because we know the final part, let's deselect all. The final answer we need is number of security violation and the password violation. We do need the user as well. That's column 2. Let's rename it. User, data type. We're going to aggregate, so we can change it here. You can do what's in the previous formula to wrap a function to string on top of the function. To change the data type, if you want, you can. That should convert to the data we want. Let's look at the cleaner results. On the output, what do you have? Yeah, we have a numbers for each user with violation. That should be okay. Yeah, let's summarize. Probably does the job. So for each user, for the violation, we try to do a sum of violations. So try to collapse those 0 values. So you have 1, 1, 3, 1, the 2 now for Nico M. Yep, that's the results. Of course, in the preliminary, I definitely used the regex, but I think I probably used a bit more passing first. You don't necessarily have a ton for the Alteryx Grand Prix to use too much regex. On a separate note, if you're less familiar with regex, you may have other options to handle the dataset as well. So for me, looking at this dataset, other way to do it, I would actually think pass text to column can do the job. And if you're less comfortable, what we can also do is we can say column 3 we want. But in this case, how do you want to split it? Still, space is usually the most common one to choose. Because we have uncertainty to how many columns we have, the number may not be consistent. So I think that everybody have a space in separation. Then I would recommend split rows. It's quite a good choice. We have a look at what's the results of it. And we can click. Yeah, that's good. So previously we had a point of make things unique, password, the header and the user should be fine. Empty is fine because we can always apply a filter on it. Password is good. Command password violation. Yeah, it seems to pass everything out uniquely. We can probably either do filter. Let's say you have a choice. You can specifically say the two options you have. You can do start with string number 3. Our target is password violation. You don't care about the rest, then you can apply another or statement or string to start with. Let me just copy paste. So this should reduce to 6 rows as well. So yeah, we're gonna reduce our the 4 rows. Now, because the last person, Nico M, I think, has 0 violation for each. It depends on what you need. If you do want a person to show up in the list, you may need to sync to another group by username to make sure do some kind of join, handle the no value. Or you just care about only the person who has a violation. Maybe this method for rows is suffice, even though one person dropped out. Again, he didn't violate anything. You don't necessarily need the business logic for it. Once you're in this format, hopefully you'll find some other ways. Again, you can use text to column, split on the brackets, you'll get a number out. And yes, and that's how my workflow for this challenge. Thanks for watching.